Hello and welcome everyone to War of the Stars, a Star Wars Roundtable podcast. We are coming to you today from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Galactic Empire. Joined today by the normal panel. First on his way to Rebel headquarters is Brian Miller.
Hey guys, sorry I'm in the car right now.
Today is Mario.
I went to pick that baby up, so yeah, let's do this.
Let's do it. Also joining us today, he is the host of Death Star Radio, the one, the only, Mario Hernandez.
Hey guys, I just realized that Jabba has his tattoo on his right arm. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's his hut. Yeah, that's his Huddy. That's the Huddy symbol. That's his family symbol.
Yeah,
Trident.
Yeah, the trident. Yeah, Jabba has.
Right.
Yeah, actually, I did. It's in. If you look at Jedi on the Blu-ray, you can actually see it.
I'll be damned.
And the person talking down there is, of course, the one, the only, Matthew Cruz.
What's up, people? How's it going?
And on the ones and twos recording us and recording as always and doing such a wonderful job is Christina Tali.
How y'all doing?
All right, well, for today's episode, we're going to be talking about the what-ifs of Star Wars. The slight changes or major changes that could have changed the saga for the better or for the worse. And what some of our favorite ones are and where we think these alternate histories would have diverged and what changes they would have caused to the saga. So I thought we would start out at the beginning with episode 1 and a classic one. What if Qui-Gon trained Anakin?
I think that would have changed everything. Like literally everything.
Yeah.
I've said before on this podcast also, I firmly believe Qui-Gon would have been one to let Anakin go see his mother, knowing that they had that bond when he pulled him away from her. That's just my opinion. I think he would have taken Shmi's death a lot better than what he did. Plus, I mean, with Qui-Gon around, he saw the corruption in the Senate. He would have been there to kind of shield Anakin from Palpatine at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because let's be honest, I agree with Brian, because let's not forget, when Obi Wan took Anakin as his Padawan, he was pretty much became a Jedi Knight himself, because he was a Padawan in the beginning, so he barely had his feet wet. So
yeah, and you're given the job of being the master of the quote unquote chosen one. I mean, you just now become a Jedi Knight, and you're given basically, here's the next, emperor, or the next big, train this guy who's going to be basically the Messiah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Actually, I think Qui-Gon would have been a much more better fit, because I think he understood Anakin a hell of a lot more than Obi-Wan did. Obi-Wan they kind of built their relationship. For some reason, Qui-Gon connected with him right away in Phantom Menace, and I think that would have been a much more, and I agree with everyone, a much more broader scope. I think he might have. I think the relationship with Anakin and Obi-Wan was more older brother, younger brother. Whereas with Qui-Gon, it would have been more father-son. Yeah, exactly. Qui-Gon would have been a father figure to him. There was quite a bit of more of an age difference than there was between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and Anakin and Qui-Gon.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, thinking on that, pretty much Brian nailed it right on the head. It would have changed a lot, because Qui-Gon and Anakin have more in common than Obi-Wan and Anakin do. Obi-Wan is more of a person who is, the Senate is right, the Jedi is the only way, there's no flaws with the Jedi. He doesn't see, the flaws in the Jedi Order. Qui-Gon, he did. He knew that the Council wasn't always right on everything. He knew that sometimes you had to do what wasn't told of you in order to get the job done. And I think he would have been a better choice to train, or any master actually, to train Anakin over. It's like, you just start a new job. You finish your training, and then as soon as you finish your training, you're told, okay, train this new person. You're not fully...
And in Anakin's case, it would have been like, okay, train this new person, and they're going to go on and own the company.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Based on your training.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
Huh?
No pressure, guys.
So in that same vein, what if? Because I think this would have been the most likely, in my opinion, if Anakin wasn't trained by Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon still died, and the council decided Obi Wan wasn't ready to train. I think the most logical choice for training, in my opinion, would have been Mace.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
I think that would have been the most logical choice. They would have looked at who Anakin was, his personality. He had a lot of, even at that young age, he had a lot of anger. He had a lot of fear in him. I think, and Yoda at that point was done doing individual training.
Well, Yoda, the last apprentice that Yoda had, turned to the dark side. It was Dooku.
Yeah. So I think Anakin. I think Mace Windu training Anakin would have been the most logical choice. I think that would have been interesting, considering Mace's background, Mace's force powers, how close he was to the dark side. I think that would have been an interesting training. I think he would have been able to harness that anger and that fear a lot better and control it, and not let it control him and keep him closer. I think when Anakin starts having questions, I think Windu would have been better equipped to answer those questions in that type of training.
Right.
And I think he would have kept as far away from Padme as he could.
Right.
I think he saw that there was some sort of connection. There was some sort of, okay, he's got, he likes this girl. He's got the hots for her. Okay, I'm keeping her the heck away from her.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, remember, also, Qui-Gon was really the only one that believed balls to bone that he was the chosen one. Everybody else had their doubts, was very skeptical about it. Up until the very end, even Obi Wan was, until the very end, that when he's screaming at Anakin, you are the chosen one, and everybody was so doubtful of him. Mace didn't trust him, Obi Wan thought he was arrogant. Qui-Gon was really the only one that believed in him and told him he is the chosen one, and would have been that compassionate enough to actually let Anakin be who Anakin was, at the same time taking him under his wing and showing him how it was done. And Qui-Gon had that balance between combat and focusing on the living will of the Force instead of just strictly using the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Speaking on the Mace thing, I think Mace would have been a better, master to Anakin, because Mace wouldn't have been afraid to put Anakin in his place. If he spoke up to him,
he wouldn't have been so arrogant. Yeah, because let's remember, Anakin became very arrogant.
Yeah, and I think both him and Qui-Gon. There's one scene in Episode 2 where Anakin is they're talking with Padme. Oh, yeah. It's when they first meet her, and Anakin says, I can't remember the line Anakin says, but Qui-Gon says, "Know your place, young Padawan," and basically embarrasses him right in front of everyone. I think that situation, Qui-Gon would have handled it much differently. I think Mace would have too. I think definitely Qui-Gon would have been more, put him down quietly, and then afterwards explain, okay, this is why that's why this was out of place, and not just been like, backhandedly put him down and put him in his place and embarrass him right in front of everyone. So I think
there's something else you got to keep in mind too. At that point, he would have been training with Qui-Gon for 10 years. They would have already had a much different relationship than what Anakin and Obi-Wan had. Well, Anakin may not have ever even questioned what Obi-Wan was saying in that setting.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, at that point, Anakin probably would have been a complete different person that we saw in Episode 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he didn't really listen. I mean, remember the one scene in 2 where they were chasing the assassin?
Damn Wesley.
And he just told him, and he just kind of just did his own thing, even after Obi Wan told him not to, he just did it. And the only thing Obi Wan's like, I hate when he does that. Like, he just let him do his own thing, which was part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't have the correct discipline he needed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let you guys kind of, if you have any, big what ifs.
I do.
From Episode 1?
I do.
Any of the movies.
One from Episode 1. What if R2-D2 got shot off the Naboo cruiser when he went out to repair it? Like a lot of the other astromechs did.
We would have had RQ-68. That's what we would have had in the classic trilogy.
Yeah.
We would have gotten
doesn't roll off the tongue as well, does it?
No, but think about it. He was the last astromech standing, and if he got shot off, we would have lost probably everyone.
Yeah.
At that point.
That would have been the end of the franchise, period.
Exactly.
It would have been like those new memes that you see where you see the one scene and the second scene, and then directed by George Lucas.
I crack up every time I see those.
You would have just seen you're just seeing one R2 unit goes off, another one goes off, another one goes off, R2 goes off, written directed by George Lucas.
There, we screwed up. We killed R2. Now it's over.
All right. What if the one before we started the what ifs that he said? What if they didn't use Boba Fett?
Oh no! What if Jango Fett didn't?
Yeah,
wasn't the base to the clone troopers, so the clone troopers never existed, and in turn, Boba Fett never existed.
Yes, my heart would be broken. But other than that, who would they use instead? How about that?
Cad Bane.
Cad Bane.
I'm kidding. I
was like, Cad Bane's a name out there. Why not? I mean, because bounty hunters were originally started by Tradashians, and they're pretty hardy as far as they're pretty harsh troops too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they're disciplined in their own way.
In other words, what if there were no clone troopers? Not who would they use in place? What if they used regular troops?
Yeah.
That could actually think and have a conscience, because remember, the clone troopers were conditioned to just follow orders. That's why they had no problem turning their guns on the Jedi when Order 66 was initiated in Episode 3.
Yeah,
correct.
So, with a conscience, chances are a lot of them would have turned around and said, "This is messed up. I'm not doing this," and would have either had the Jedi fake their death, or would have turned against the Empire, the newly forming Empire at that point.
Well, that's why Palpatine had to do so many maneuvers to get the clone troopers made, because that was the key to his plan to come to power.
Yeah.
You unless he had a thing where he himself decided to go the route of what the Separatists did and just had a droid army himself, and you have a droid army versus another droid army.
Let's be honest, that droid army sucked.
Well, yeah.
Plus, that's got to be expensive with as fast as those things fell apart.
I mean, they were that droid army was one of the most useless armies I've ever seen.
It really was. Because I remember there was a special feature for Episode 1 on the DVD where George Lucas was showing Steven Spielberg the first model of a battle droid. And he's like, yeah, these are the new stormtroopers. The Jedi cut through them like butter. And he's showing it to Steven Spielberg, and the arm fell off the freaking model, right in front of him. And they were trying to put the arm back on, in the special feature. And then George is got it by the hand, trying to connect the hand to the shoulder. And
oh my God!
He's like, no, it's like this, and he grabs the other and hooks it back on. Even the models couldn't stay the hell together.
Oh my God!
I mean, the only thing good about the droid army is they were some comic relief.
Oh, they were great.
Run away!
Yes.
Wait, no, that's no freeze.
One of them was they were pointing off the cliff in the Clone Wars movie, and he's like, focus fire on sector 986749295. And then other droid's focus fire on sector what? And he's like, just shoot right there. And he grabs the back of his head and points his head down where he's wanting him to shoot. I actually laugh every time I see that part.
When they get knocked off a cliff.
Oh, come on. When they got shut down, half of them just fell apart.
Yeah. How crappy is that? Yeah, when the power went out, like one of them, didn't he touch one of their heads and it's like completely...
Yeah. I'm like, gee, I'm like, wow, well, how much were they? Like $29.99 imported from China? Like, seriously.
That was really bad design. It's just like, I guess that's why they went with the clones. Hey man, they'll last a little longer. They'll last a little longer.
What's your options? We got a trade federation, a droid army. Let's go with the clones.
Hey. Yeah, Brian, you're something?
I forgot what it was. I just had it. Crap. I'll think of it in a second. I promise.
What? Oh.
Since we're kind of going in order, what if in Episode 3, at the Battle of Mustafar, at the end of it, if Obi Wan would have saved Anakin?
I think it would have been. I don't think he would have made that turn to Vader, because part of his turn to Vader was that hatred of being left there almost death and almost killed by somebody he respected.
Yeah.
I think Anakin would have died. I mean, seriously, Obi-Wan wasn't equipped to deal with the injuries Anakin had. You know, I mean, no matter what, I mean, the only thing that saved Anakin's life was that Vader suit.
True.
Yeah.
That's why he had a respirator in it, too, because he couldn't breathe on his own anymore.
Yeah.
I got a really good one next.
Actually died.
I got a really good one next.
Actually, yeah, because if you remember from Rogue One, he was in that bacta tank before he suited up.
Well, even look at people who suffer from like third-degree burns, from house fires and stuff like that. Look at everything they have. They're in those hermetically sealed rooms a lot of times. They're in those air oxygen tents. You know, it's because there's so easy chance of infection and stuff like that because of burns, and that high of a burn will not heal itself.
Right.
And that's the thing to remember. Once you get like a third-degree burn, and it's a severe third-degree, and it's like, you know, where you're starting to look like charcoal, you're not going to heal. That's not going to heal, and that's the chance of infection the entire time. So yeah, he would have to be constantly in bacta tanks, and you'd have to be in a. And that's probably what the suit was as well. It was almost like an oxygen tent, so you wouldn't get infections.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I want to throw one in there before Christina does. What if Commander Gree actually killed Yoda during Order 66?
Oh.
I
think Chewbacca would have turned around and shot him in the face with that crossbow, man. Right.
Yeah.
That actually wasn't what I was going to come up with, but that one's good too. I think that would have totally changed. I mean, then I don't know, like, who would Luke go to train at that point?
Well, and think about this. If that case, then Palpatine wouldn't have had to fight Yoda, and he would have made it to Mustafar a lot sooner.
And killed Obi-Wan with Anakin.
True.
Yeah. And which leads to another what if. What if Anakin never was burnt? What if he still turned to the dark side, but was able to kill Anakin or Obi-Wan before Obi-Wan got the high ground?
Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, anything with Anakin killing Obi-Wan on Mustafar, you have to remember Padme was pregnant with his twins up on the other side of the ledge, which means Anakin would have had Padme and his children. They would have been born. Padme would have probably still died of a broken heart. And then he would have had two, like, seriously strong, horse-using children that he could have trained.
True.
Yeah. Super twins.
And here we go. Here's my next what if. What if they took Luke to Alderaan instead of Leia, and Leia went to Tatooine to live with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru?
Well, like you said before, I think we would have gotten Rey a hell of a lot sooner.
Yeah, I think Leia would have been a Rey. Like, definitely,
because she was tough in her own right. Like, I mean, we spoke on Leia before, and we know what she's like. I mean, yeah, she still would have had the whininess of a Skywalker. Let's be honest. But she
also remember the environments too. Alderaan was royalty, even though it had its own problems. Whereas Tatooine was a very very aggressive landscape if you think about it. You had a lot of dangers, so you had to be tough out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the question is, what would Luke have turned out to be like? Would he have been like a female version of Leia, where she was still strong, but...
You mean a male version of Leia?
Male version of Leia, yeah.
Here's the thing, look at the way Bale raised Leia. Leia still grew up to be a rebel. She was still infiltrating the Imperial Senate as a part of the Rebel Alliance. Bale would have raised Luke to do the exact same thing. It would have just been Prince Luke Organa of Alderaan.
Yeah.
That's what it would have been.
And he wouldn't have been a Jedi, likely. It probably would have been Leia would become the Jedi because of how the storyline fell, because Obi Wan was watching over.
Yeah.
And then you would have the whole Luke screaming no thing when Alderaan blew up instead of when he found out Vader was his father.
Wow, that would have been a flip around. No, what about if Leia was there? If Leia was on that in the Cloud City and her screaming no, that would have been awesome. Mm-hmm. Would he have cut off a bun instead of a hand?
Wow, really? This is where you go with that?
I think this would come off a hell of a lot creepier randomly kissing Leia than Leia did coming out randomly kissing Luke.
Yeah, that would have been a sexual harassment for the rebellion.
Yeah.
Episode 3.5, episode 4.5, the trial of Skywalker versus Organa. And the next thing you know, they have to release a Rebel video. Now, Rebellion has many people here.
Here's something more scary for you. What if freaking that was it? We followed that storyline. What if Luke and Han got together? I think I just broke Mario on that one.
Wow. I don't think the galaxy's ready for that yet.
So you tell me where you're hiding, where you're smuggling, where you smuggle your goods?
Now you know what.
Okay.
Now that's what they call a nerf herder. Anyway.
They did explain why she called him a nerf herder in Empire in one of the comics.
Yeah, Nerf is an animal.
He actually herded nerfs to try to get some money back that he lost from Leia.
Yeah. Yeah, Nerfs are they're almost like, think of them as like Star Wars cows almost.
Yeah.
That's what a Nerf is. It's like a Star Wars cow. It's not the...
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
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 Here's one for you guys. So, if Luke and Leia actually hadn't been related, do you think they would have gotten together instead of Leia and Han?
That would have been an interesting rivalry because Han had a thing for her, and if you remember from episode 4, he goes, "What do you think? A girl like her, a guy like me?" No, that would never work. That would never work.
No, I don't.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, really, kid?
I got my own ship. What do you got? Ooh, you got a glowy blue. You got a blue glow stick. Yeah, we lost Mario.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we got to edit it in now. That's my placeholder.
No, when it comes back, just do the level up noise.
Yeah.
No. No, that's Pac-Man.
The rusty trunk.
Okay, so we're in what now? Episode 4? We already did episode 4? What is?
Yeah. I have actually another episode 4 one. You mentioned the comic series before we started recording of was it Infinities?
Yeah, Infinities. Star Wars Infinities, yeah.
They did one of what if the attack on the Death Star wasn't successful. And it was interesting. The Death Star is not able to fire at full power, so Leia is able to escape, but she's captured and ends up being brainwashed by the Emperor and Vader into becoming a puppet. And it was really good. There's an ending scene where they're building the second Death Star, and Yoda commandeers it and crashes it into Imperial City.
What, the whole Death Star?
The whole Death Star.
That's
yes,
awesome.
The whole Death Star.
Dang!
YOLO, yeah.
I could just see that crazy green son of a bitch.
James, you have to do the laugh. His dying words. Do or do not, there is no try. YOLO!
You're not going to hear about coming out of Elizabeth.
Actually,
Oh God, Yoda's bucket list right there.
So one more episode. I do have one more episode for one. What if Han? What if they didn't meet Han and Chewie?
Then it would have been someone else. I mean, really, it's to me, it's
because Obi Wan was talking to another pilot before he talked to Chewie.
Yeah.
But would things have happened the way they happened?
Yeah.
You know, like Han became a major asset to the Rebel Alliance, whether he liked it or not. And if they did get onto another pilot ship, would the following events unfold as they did? Because I don't think they would have.
Yeah.
They might have gotten Alderaan sooner, but that could have been disastrous. No pun intended.
Boom! Alderaan bits everywhere! Bah, bah, bah!
Oh,
God, we're horrible people.
Hey, soup. You ever had soup this good? Yes, on Alderaan.
Who's got two thumbs to betray his best friend? This guy!
Too soon?
No, the most tension was between Boba Fett. Yeah, the most tension was between Boba Fett and Han.
Oh,
the whole middle finger war thing they got going. And we go, and we sidetracked.
Yes.
I was waiting for us to get back on the run.
We're back on track. Okay. So we moved on to episode 5 now, right?
Empire Strikes Back.
What if Luke froze on Hoth?
Yeah.
Or did not survive the Hoth after getting taken by the Wampa in any step of the journey?
Well, again, there was the comic. Again, the logical thing would have been Leia would have trained.
Mm-hmm.
They probably wouldn't have gone to Cloud City. So there would have been no...
Actually, in that comic where Luke died, they did end up going to Cloud City. Boba Fett was looking for Han, and he showed up, and Lando tried telling him, "You think you can come into my establishment?" And then he's like, "All right, you know what? We'll go set some stuff up." And then his guards attacked Boba Fett and froze him in carbonite.
Oh, nice.
That was in the comic, and then Lando turned him upside down and used him as a table, as a desk for his office. I kid you not.
That would be Lando's style.
That shows the camera down on the floor looking up, and you can see Boba Fett frozen on the bottom of it. And up top, Lando's talking to a hologram of Vader, and he's like, "What are you talking about? He never showed up."
That is freaking great.
It was gold.
Nice. Yes. That it definitely sounds like a Lando thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, here's another one. This is actually more because this is where everyone started, where Luke started really getting into his Jedi power. What if Han found out that he was Force sensitive?
I don't think Han would have accepted it.
Oh.
No, honestly, no, because of... Remember what he said as they were leaving Tatooine? There's no mystical energy force that controls my life. It's all simple tricks and nonsense.
Yeah.
I don't think Han would have ever... Even though in the older... As we see the older Han, it took him that long to accept it. Somewhere in the middle he did, but in the very beginning he would have blown it off as just, I've seen it before, or just he would have logicked his way out of it before there was definitive proof. But that's just, for me, that's the way I see Han playing it. He always played to luck and logic before he played to faith.
I got another one then for you. What if Yoda refused to train Luke because he's too old? Because remember, and even in the beginning, like Yoda was like, "Yep, he is too old to begin the training."
Luke already had quite a bit of training though.
But still, exactly. What if Yoda refused to train him now from that point forward?
I think Luke would have. Well, I feel like because even I know it's not canon anymore, but in the Shadows of the Empire novel, Luke was talking about, or it was talking about how if he hadn't found Yoda, or no, it wasn't Shadows of the Empire. What was it? Heir to the Jedi. This is canon. My mistake. It is canon. And it was the awful novel Heir to the Jedi.
Yeah, I know it's one of your favorites.
You know it. Yeah, it's my favorite book to write my butt
That's
with.
why Luke walking in on a masturbating alien just makes everything better.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. But he even makes the comment in there, if I can't find anybody to train me, I could go find Vader and train with him.
But wouldn't that turn him dark side?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's canon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Crazy to think about. He was that desperate to learn the ways of the Force.
Yeah. And I think that was just a test from Yoda. I think in all honesty, Yoda, had every intention of training him. I think that was just like another little test to see just how much did Luke want to train, how much did he care about this, that if someone said, no, I'm not going to train you, how much would he push the issue? How much would he say, no, I need to be trained. I want to be trained. Please train me. Well,
at the time, he was arguing with Obi Wan about it. I just think that he was still, because really, he didn't take on another Padawan after Dooku either. Yeah. So, because Dooku turned to the dark side. So I think maybe he doubted himself in a way, where he didn't want to take on another apprentice to begin with. And the Skywalkers, in all honesty, like the last time they trained a Skywalker that was a little bit older, it didn't. Yeah. It turned out quite badly for the Jedi. So yeah, I could see hesitation of wanting training another Skywalker in the ways of the Force.
Yeah, but
see, I'm of two mindsets of it, because in Empire, he seems really serious when it's almost like he's looking for a reason not to train Luke. But then when you hear what he says in Revenge of the Sith, when he says, kept hidden the children must be until the time is right. Right off the bat, he knew Luke was going to be older when he came for the training, but he sounds so convincing, like he was just looking for a reason not to train Luke in Empire. I think
that's one of the there's a lot of incontinuities from the prequels, and I think that's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Where they totally where they wanted to do something to make it seem more thing, but they totally screwed up the timeline and screwed everything up in the process.
Well, they could have fixed that so easily, just saying, who's to say, if you're going to hide Luke on Tatooine anyway, why couldn't Obi Wan just take him to Tatooine and train him as a Jedi from birth?
My thing is, the thing is you got to understand, Yoda always knew more than he let on. He was classic for that. And Obi-Wan learned that trait as well over time. However, I think what Yoda was, I think you're all right in the fact that Yoda was regretful on everything that had happened, but he also wanted to believe that this had to happen, that this was going to happen. And I think if Yoda, knowing the Force the way that he did, he knew if he denied it this one time, it would have destroyed everything anyway. This is the only way the Jedi would have survived, and he had to take what he could and make what it was worth. Even though he might have felt that he failed with Dooku, might have felt that all the Jedi had failed with Anakin, but here's Luke. It may have been, the sins of the father type thing, but he also had to give Luke that chance. I remember what he also said, much like his father he is, with his
anger in him, like his father, yeah.
Exactly. So he knew that, and he had to walk that fine line. But he also knew that once he saw Luke's determination and everything while he was training him side by side, he could see that there was much difference between him and Vader.
True, and Yoda did have to call him out, which was classic. Though, was the whole thing where he was trying to pull the X-wing out of the swamp, and he's like, "It's too heavy," and then Yoda just goes and picks it, pulls it right out, and goes, "Just be by my side, Steve."
Yeah. See, what Matt just said kind of makes me think that the two scenes with Yoda we just talked about aren't really. There's not an incontinuity problem there, because it's almost like Yoda at first, planned to train Luke. At depending how old he was, And then he was all for Luke showing up, and then when he realized what kind of person Luke was and that he had a lot of his father's anger, that's when he started trying to make up reasons not to train Luke.
Yeah.
That's possible. Yeah. Oh, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
And like I said, he had a lot of time to think this through. He was on a planet isolated from everyone, nothing as his company but the Force and a few reptiles.
Yeah, he put himself in exile.
Exactly. Yeah. So he had time to think this through. So he could think of every possibility. But I guess what he did come to realize is someone has to train him, and it has to be one of the best. One of the wisest of all the Jedi.
Well, there's not many Jedi left at that point.
What I don't get now, though,
not the only.
I said there's not many.
If Obi-Wan could manifest himself as a spirit like that, what took him 3 years between A New Hope and Empire to actually come to Luke for the first time as a ghost? Why couldn't Obi-Wan have trained him from beyond the grave? That would have been the best training a Jedi could have gotten. Somebody who was part of the Force.
Well, maybe it's kind of like being a ghost in that respect. Too much time on this plane can stretch their energies beyond. Yeah. Well, it's a ghost theory. Sorry, it's not a Star Wars.
No, you're right.
This is a ghost theory.
Right.
That too much time on this material plane would actually expend their energy too much, and eventually he would fade. So, do you take your chances? I mean, a living trainer or a ghost of one, good and bad has its place, but and if you think about it, the living force does not say, hey, now that you can become a ghost and be seen, you're supposed to constantly interact with everyone. Your time, even in the death of Qui-Gon Jinn, they all know that a Jedi's time to have passed, it's time to, you mourn the loss, but you remember the past, but you let them go. You can't keep them here, even if it is for the purpose of training. You can't keep somebody here. They have to pass on. That's part of the Force, part of the experience of being with the Force. Sorry, I went all philosophical.
And I know it's not canon anymore, but in the original Timothy Zahn novels, they even touched on that. There's a scene at the very beginning of where Obi-Wan tells him, "Okay, this is the last time I can be here. My time is up, and I need to move on." So I kind of agree with what Matt was saying, that they have so much, if you want to call it, ability and power to project themselves on Earth, and then their time is up. So,
Well, just to touch on the, I just want to touch on the Force Ghost thing real quick, just to clarify. Most Jedis, not every Jedi had the power to become a Force Ghost. It was almost like
Qui-Gon was the first one.
Yeah, it was a trick, almost like a spell that they had to figure out from a holocron and they could only do it for so much time, and it's like they could only do it for so long before it fades out. Almost like anything, it has it's almost a timer on it. So if you appeared, you could only appear for maybe like a few minutes, and that's about it at a time.
Yeah.
So just to clarify that, so that's probably why Obi-Wan couldn't train Luke, because he wasn't there long enough. Like, he wouldn't be able to materialize long enough to be able to do anything with him. He'd be like, "Here, do this. I'll be back in an hour." Like, that's pretty much what would happen.
Yeah, but to move the subject to something else, another what if? What if Luke never went to Bespin?
Oh, he still have a hand.
And completed his training?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think that would have made Luke go back if he stayed. But when he was done with his training, I think it would have really re-announced the Jedi into the universe. You know what I'm saying? I think he would have come out uber swinging. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing, though. Whether Luke showed up or not, Leia and Lando helped Leia and Chewie escape. Whether Luke showed up or not. So if Luke would have stayed on Dagobah, Han would have still gotten frozen in carbonite. Leia and Lando would have made it away.
Luke because they already ghosted out before. His training.
Yeah. I don't think much would have changed if he hadn't gone, actually.
Except for he would have both hands still.
He'd have both hands, and he would have been a full-fledged Jedi.
And he would have had his old lightsaber still. He would have had Anakin's lightsaber, or now Rey's lightsaber. He wouldn't have the green one after that.
Actually, I take that back, because if Luke hadn't showed up, to distract Vader while Leia and Lando were escaping with Chewie and R2 and 3PO, we would have gotten another Vader hallway scene going after Leia and Lando and Chewie, and Luke was kind of there to keep Vader busy while they were getting away.
True that.
Well, he was more interested in Luke anyway. That was a trap, and it was a pretty...
It's a trap!
It's a trap. All right, well, let's move on then to Return of the Jedi. And one of the first what-ifs I can think of is, what if Thrawn was put in charge of the Imperial forces at Endor?
Oh.
I don't think he would have let I don't think the Ewoks would have had a chance, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have. I think he would have smothered that force with freaking on-the-ground troops. He would have not brought in any AT-AT walkers, any ATSTs, none of that. He would have just let the troops do their thing. He would have played smart as hell.
Do you think Thrawn would have took into consideration in his planning for that, with the natives siding with the rebellion?
I don't know.
He was pretty smart.
Because if it wasn't for that,
smart.
they wouldn't have really beat the Empire. Because remember, they got captured by the Empire, and it was the Ewoks that saved their asses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, they didn't take that into consideration at all, and we see what happened. If they would have taken that into consideration, I think it would have turned out differently. And I almost wonder if that's something Thrawn wouldn't have figured out.
Yeah, I think Thrawn would have not taken them for granted. Not taking the Ewoks as just like, oh, they're primitives, they can't hurt us, what can they do? They're little teddy bears. He would have looked at it more strategically and looked at it like, okay, this is a potential threat.
Mm-hmm.
Or a
and we need to neutralize it.
Or a possible potential ally, because they knew the lay of the land.
That's true, too.
Yeah.
And this was literally their entire backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
as a alien, he would have been maybe more sympathetic to them.
Yeah.
And seeing them as an asset, like you said, Matt, an asset to be used instead of being exploited, to use that asset to its best potential as scouts, as because I mean Ewoks are too small to really probably be any useful labor, but they can do a good job as scouts and giving the lay of the land like that.
I thought about these a lot. Honestly, when we were given this topic the other day, I've been thinking about these a lot because I have to keep something in my mind when I work, otherwise I'd lose it completely. But I have a really good one for you guys. What if Vader did not turn on Palpatine?
Luke would have died. The Emperor would have killed Luke. I think that the Death Star would have still blown up, and it would have still killed the Emperor and Vader. But Luke would have been a casualty in that as well.
Okay, baby girl.
You think that's all that would happen, though? Because remember...
honestly, I think that's all it was. All it would have been.
Yeah.
But maybe then they would have been distracted. Well, they were distracted at the time as well with Luke. So if they killed off Luke before they managed to find their way in, then maybe would have been able to... They would have been able to focus on the battle and figure out what was going on beforehand. Because with distraction, you're not paying attention to everything that's going on, as you know, like in life. So very possibly they would actually realize, like, okay, we have this open. We need to do this right now. They would be taking command of their forces, and also probably firing that Death Star a lot sooner.
Well, at the same time, also, the Emperor was extremely arrogant during that battle. Like he thought he had that locked down as a victory. He was cocky about it. You know, and Han wasn't there to say, "Great kid, don't get cocky." But he was cocky about it.
Yes.
He was the target of the second Death Star.
Worse than because the first one was finished and they managed to destroy it with a little tiny hole. A 3-meter wide hole, exhaust duct. This one wasn't even done. I mean, it had huge gaps all over the place where it wasn't finished.
Right, so, but all they had was that energy shield, and that was a flaw in itself.
Yeah, one centralized system.
Exactly. I mean, as you saw from the 3D image, it had to rotate with the planet in that one position at all times. That's a major flaw.
If they really wanted to protect the second Death Star, they would have put one of those shields around it that they had around Scarif.
Exactly.
Ooh, yes. Yeah. That's a good point.
If they really had wanted to protect it, then it could have moved wherever they needed it. There would have been a central entry point in and out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That they should have. I mean, that.
I wonder why they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Because according to the story it wasn't supposed to be being made or even that close to being made at that point.
Would it make more sense though to hide it out in deep space than around a moon though?
Well, it was next to a sanctuary moon. A sanctuary moon is literally a game preserve. You can't go there anyway, or you're not supposed to.
Right.
So, sorry.
Think of how different that would have been if they'd had one of those shields on it.
Yeah.
That would have been Rogue One all over again. But it would have been one hell of a freaking showdown, man. Because in Rogue One we lost
Blue Squad, yeah.
Squadron and Rogue 5.
And we lost Red 5, yeah. Oh, poor Red 5.
You knew Red 5 was done in Rogue One, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, as soon as he popped up and said, I can't shake him, Red 5. I was like, oh, he's toast.
Bye.
As soon as I heard Red 5, I'm like, he's so dead in this battle.
I was like, I'm sorry, no... To our audience, if he would have been black, he would have blown up just as fast. But it was like, oh no,
Really,
like Red
Matt,
5.
you go there?
Hey, they went there with Red Fox too. I don't want to hear it.
Actually, people forget that there was another black guy in Star Wars other than Mace Windu and Lando.
Actually, there was
one. I can think of one X-wing pilot in Return of the Jedi who was black. He was the one to turn. I was like, it's gonna blow.
Exactly.
And he blew up.
Actually, there was several. There were several if everyone was paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention a good majority of the stormtroopers and TIE fighter pilots were black.
I'm sorry, I just really got this really funny idea because we were talking about how Thrawn would have used the Ewoks as scouts and stuff like that. Just think of a stormtrooper helmet designed as an Ewok head with the ears and everything. Oh God.
Oh, that would be so kawaii.
I know everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is ridiculous."
It's like a furry. It's furries meet Star Wars.
Exactly. I'm
like they were undercover, hiding in the brush, and they had little ears taped onto their helmets, and they're just like poking up, like trying to blend in with the natives. You know, like we're not here. Move along.
These aren't the Ewoks we're looking for.
I know. I got a whole mess of messed up cartoons in my head now. I'm like, oh my God.
Just like you've got to have like the Scotch tape, like obviously made out of cardboard. You can see the Sharpie, like where they cut it out, just a Scotch tape taped to their helmet.
Spears made out of cardboard that still have the arrow that say this side up.
That's the arrowhead this side up.
Oh man!
They got like cut pieces of like upholstery from the Death Star, which still has Imperial logos on it, like hanging over as their vestment.
What would have been funnier though is if it happened after the Death Star blew up at the celebration. There's two stormtroopers dancing around like, "Oh, you think they notice us?" Like, we gotta figure out how to get out of here.
Yep.
I guarantee you, I know who it would have been. It would have been Gary the Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
One of them would have been Gary the Stormtrooper,
and his daughter right next to him. But Dad, I want to cuddle the teddy bears. We're trying to get out of here.
Just keep dancing. Just keep dancing. They won't notice.
Oh, wow.
That'd be great.
I mean, because... Alright. What was the other ones we were thinking of?
If they ever do another Robot Chicken episode, they have to use Gary the Stormtrooper dressed as an Ewok. Especially after he killed the one, had to brutally put it down. Like, they have to do a sketch of him dancing at the celebration, like, oh, crap! Like, oh.
I got one. What if Ula wasn't dropped down into the Rancor pit, and she survived, so she was still a dancer with Leia when Leia was imprisoned?
I think she would have escaped. I honestly think she would have escaped, because Ula... She had a little bit more of a story in Tales from Jabba's Palace.
Jabba's Palace, yeah.
But do you think she would have joined the rebellion at that point?
Oh hell yeah! She would have straight up jumped on the rebellion. She couldn't stand. She couldn't stand her slave status. She hated it. She had a very sad story.
And she was a fighter too.
Oh yeah, heartbreaking.
And she was a fighter too. She did have that fighting passion.
She would have definitely joined the Rebels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Leia would.
Actually, if you talk about the Rancor, there's a story in canon also. It was one of the interludes in the Aftermath series. I don't remember which book it was in. It was about the Rancor Keeper. It might have been the second book.
Yeah.
But he was the Rancor Keeper, and he got away alive. Like, he wandered out into the desert. And and he ended up, like, it even told the name of the Rancor that died. It was like Batista or something like that. Batista? So, I think the Rancor's name was Batista or something. What was it?
Something like that, yeah.
Was it Benona? I thought it was Benona. Because he says it in Return of the Jedi. Because after he was like, Benona. He starts running over towards it. I think that was
him crying in Huttese. I think that was him chanting, like, oh, God. Because he was...
Well, that's
actually, he married one of the other dancing girl. I know it's not canon, he married the other the one they call the bloated one.
One that had 6 breasts?
The one that had 6 boobies.
Yeah, that needed to be canon.
Actually,
why not?
Actually, that's just water, right?
I know. You already said this.
All I can think of is the movie Paul, where every time he draws an alien, they're like, 3 tits? That's awesome. That's all I can think of now for some reason.
Total Recall.
Oh.
There, I said it.
Yeah.
I said it.
Yeah.
So, another one I thought was an interesting what if is, what if Vader had lived? What if Luke was able to pull him onto the shuttle and Vader had lived?
I think I don't think he would actually join what was left of the rebellion after everything he had done. I don't think he would have been welcomed into the rebellion at all.
I think there definitely would have been a call for a trial.
There would have been, and I almost feel like he would have been executed for his crimes.
Yeah.
Or I think Luke wouldn't have come back to Endor at that point. I think he would have escaped. Ran off with him? I think they would have run off together, and they would maybe back to Dagobah or somewhere where they wouldn't find him, so nothing would happen to his dad.
Yeah. Or I read someone wrote and it's a fan fiction, but it was really interesting where Luke they take him back, and there's talk of a trial, and Luke basically says, I'll take responsibility for him. I'll take him to some way far away, out into the outer rims, and I will take responsibility for him. I think that was that's definitely a plausible scenario where, that way there's no blood on anyone's hands. The rebels don't have to execute this person, but at the same time, he's kind of out of place, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard call.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Because I remember a couple conversations back when Mario was like, he was so easily forgiven, and with that phrase, and I was like, damn, he's right. And I'm sorry, you were right. You were right about that. He was we gave him such a pass until we knew the whole accord, and then we went back to that scene. It's like, I don't know, man. You did kill a room full of children. That's kind of totally royally messed up.
Yeah, you can't really forgive that. Any way you look at it.
I mean, as much as I would like to think that there would be a happy ending, Vader would have to run for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
But the only good news is he would be one step ahead of them with the Force. That's it.
Right.
Mm.
Well, see, even in Bloodline, and this might be a spoiler if anybody's never read it, when the galaxy finds out that Leia is the daughter of Vader, they even talk about how Luke says he was redeemed at the end, and nobody gives a shit. Like, they still look down on Leia as the daughter of Vader.
Mm-hmm.
And almost feel like they would have looked down on Luke as well. Like, leery of him, like, oh, his dad would did that. We got one Jedi left in the Republic, and that's his dad? Like, really? Are we really going to trust this guy?
True.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I have another what if. We have to go back a little bit. What if Jar Jar Binks was really a Sith?
Oh, that whole
That's
thing?
Not true.
Yeah, because...
But you put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
No, I'm just saying, because it's been a fan theory for a while, but what if that was really true? What if Jar Jar Binks really acted the way he did in Episode 1 because, he was sabotaging everything, but he really is a Sith Lord?
That would have curveballed everybody.
If we end up getting Darth Banks, I'm going to be so pissed off.
Darth Jar Jar.
Darth Banks.
Darth Banks. Misa Jar Jar Binks.
That's still was that a robot chicken? Yes, that was a robot chicken where it says, "Misa not the Lord
you
of
manipulated me. Okay, sir.
You're not Lord of the Sith. Misa the Lord of the Sith."
All I can think of is an asthmatic Jamaican.
The only satisfying Jar Jar robot chicken sketch was the one where Vader threw him out the airlock.
Yes!
I know the best is at the end where he pops back up. Look at me, so all sparkly! I love you, Eddie! Yay!
Got here.
And freaking all freaking Vader could do is just sit there and facepalm himself like, God damn it. Like, me so all sparkly!
Your face or something? Oh my God, Benny!
Quick, Jar Jar, hide in the airlock before the Separatists attack.
Quick, Jar Jar, homie, my main man.
I have another one for you guys. This is kind of going back as well. What if Jango never died?
Ooh. I think Boba will be more of an efficient bounty hunter.
Turned out a hell of a lot different.
Yeah, I think it would be. Yeah. I don't think he would have died by a blind guy with a stick.
He's not dead, Christina.
He's dead. He fell into the Sarlacc. He's dead.
Not dead. Not dead.
I don't give a crap.
He's dead.
He ain't dead.
Not dead.
He got digested.
Dead.
He's as of right now, considering it happened a long, long time ago. He is freaking Sarlacc poo.
No!
No, I will not accept this.
He is Sarlacc poo. And meanwhile, some Jawa sold his what's left of his armor for half a droid.
They did do that.
Look at Matt's face. He looks like he's about. He looks like he's about ready to poop himself.
You're just trying to get me to go off on this show too? Really?
No, I'm just saying. Let's be honest. He got taken out by a freaking blind guy with a stick, and he got digested by the Sarlacc.
Actually, Han did say later, "No, it's alright. I can see a lot better now." So technically, he wasn't blind at the time. He looked Chewie right in the eye, and he's like,
"All right, so here's one more for you.
There.
What if Boba Fett never got tossed into the Sarlacc to begin with?
Luke would have been dead because he was taking pot shots at Luke.
Yeah, he was. He did blast his wrist right there. Oh no, that wasn't him. That was one of the other skiff.
That was later. Yeah, but he was taking pot shots at Luke on the nose of the skiff.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Han never accidentally hit his rocket pack and sent him flying into the hut skiff, into the party barge, what would we seen a lot more freaking what a way to die. Get smacked by a guy who can't see very well, then I'll correct it. By accident, gets slammed into the side of a party barge and then swallowed up by a huge butthole in the sand.
All I gotta say is we've all had days almost as similar to that, especially where we work. So I don't want to hear it.
I mean, just think you had a bad day. Just remember what poor Boba Fett went through one day.
Exactly.
In one asshole, out the other.
I'm gonna make a wristband. What would Boba Fett what would Boba Fett do?
WWBD. What would Boba do?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Lando almost got eaten too. He came close too.
I know, it's freaking.
He got saved by a blind guy.
Yeah,
same blind guy saved him.
And you remember, Lando wasn't feeling too confident about his shot either. He's like,
a little higher, a little higher.
Oh, please! If you're gonna shoot me in the leg. Don't shoot me in the groin, please.
Okay, so here's one. If we're moving on, we're doing Force Awakens next.
Actually, hold on, because I think I'm going to end part 1 here and do part 2, because I think we have a lot more we can cover. We can go back and do. There's so many what ifs we can do. So I think we're going to end it right here and come back probably next week with part 2 of the what ifs of Star Wars. As always, remember to like and subscribe. Check out all the videos here at Realm of the Mist. And as always, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
Oh! Go ahead, Matt. You look like you're... Go.
Great Jedis do exist.
Oh, by the way, we did take care of that Imperial upstart. You see, is he not here this week? We did freeze him in carbonite, and he is currently being used as a table per Lando's design. So maybe we'll thaw him out for next week. Maybe we won't.
Down goes Boba.
You're begging for a piece of that boba.
Oh, brother.
Okay.